Well, I'm here today with another anointed author, Troy Lane. He has just published his first book, Stop for a Moment, a book that really is a life lesson or a number of life lessons wrapped up in a story. It's a really creative way to communicate. And it's a real joy because Troy and I are actually, I discovered, connected in other ways as well, having been part of the same church movement and things like that. Amazing how small this big world is, isn't it, Troy?
It is, yes.
It's great to have you with us today, Troy. We're going to be talking about your book and just talking about you and your heart as well. You know, as you've been stepping out and sharing things in a number of different ways. I know you've got a new blog that you're developing, and you're on Substack. So there's lots of different ways in which you're expressing your creativity. Why don't we just begin, Troy, by just sharing a little? Why don't you share with us a little about how you stirred up the confidence and the courage to actually put your work out there? Because I know for a lot of people, that's a big hurdle to step over, even just that first blog post. Or, I mean, for now, you've actually got a book out there. It's not just but what was the journey that led you to the place where you thought, man, I know I've got something in me to share and I'm just going to do it?
Yes, well, as you say many times, and as was the case throughout the course we did, small baby steps, yeah. Like most people, I have plenty of ideas. Some of them may work, some of them may not. A lot of them were easy not to act on. I love your emails that come through regularly encouraging us to have a go at things. So some of the things I've been playing around for a little while, last couple of years. We at least set up a website. We felt the Lord spoke to us a little while ago with the name Stop for a Moment, just with the simple idea, as the word suggests. As you know, the world is we live very fast lives, and just stopping for a moment, just to have a think about things, and certainly to consider God and eternity, things that we just so easily bypass. So it's sort of birthed from that. We do feel that was a download from heaven, and that was quite some years ago. It might have been 2017, actually. And just over time, wow, little ideas would come along. As time's gone on, things technology-wise have become a little bit easier, like with building websites and so forth. And so gradually we just played with that. And then I dove in and had a go. And of course, as you say, as is normal, nobody reads them at first. And of course, depending how you go, you may or may not have told many people about it either. But it was a great process to start. And then a few people would read it, even if it's just your own family members, somebody you do know, and that's just great encouragement. And I found you actually when I was looking up about Scrivener. You've got a course.
Oh, wow, yes, yeah.
And from that, in one of your videos or courses, I forgot now, you mentioned your Spirit Life Bible School. And I thought that was fascinating. Okay. So I thought, okay, who's this fellow? And that was great. And then I signed up, and I've been following your emails and your journey for quite some time. So what's happened with you through myself, it demonstrates what you talk about so often, and God's way of patience, small beginning. I know you've been building something over these years, and you've obviously been doing it for quite some time, but just the little contact I would have with you, the webinars you did a couple of years ago now. I've watched those webinars and I'd sign up for your emails, and I just found it all so encouraging, because it's obvious that you've been walking with the Lord in this creative journey. And it's just great to have a brother in the Lord who's done it. So it's just been gradual steps over that time, and everything you write and put out was so encouraging. And I didn't immediately do lots of things. I didn't, as your emails say every day, just a small step. I didn't even do stuff every day, at least not in a creative way. Like, wouldn't necessarily create content every single day. I'm working towards that, because I think that is a good idea. Even if it's just a little bit. Yes, what I've learned, as we'll talk about in a moment, as when I got to this talk, a lot of it was not a waste, though. A lot of the things that happened just from learning through you over the past, and things I would write down or I did record, or did right over those years have been able to be pulled together to this when I came to do the course with you just now. So it's been a great journey and great encouragement.
Yeah. I mean, that's so encouraging for people, Troy, because I know a lot of people kind of look at that big idea up ahead.
Yeah,
I'm going to write a book, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that, and feel as though it's almost either so far off that they don't even know where to begin,
yeah,
or they think if I don't do that big thing, then it's a waste of time. And I love what
yes,
you say, because that is so true. There's never any step wasted. You know,
yeah,
God will take everything that we will give and everything that we'll put in the pot and cook it up. And it may take
yeah.
time, like for those flavors to get rich,
That's
yeah,
right.
but it will always come out. I mean, as you say, I've been in this game for a long time. Well, it feels like a long time, especially some days, you know. And
Yeah.
I still feel like I'm learning. Do you know what I mean? In fact, if I ever say to you, Troy, I've got nothing else to learn, just fly over and kick me in the
Okay.
backside, and yeah, and tell me
Fair
wake
enough.
up. You know, yeah,
Yeah,
because we're always making moves, and those
yeah,
first tentative steps sometimes can be the most difficult. But actually, I believe, anyways, certainly in many respects for me, it was God's mercy that I didn't have a huge audience, because I was
yes,
still figuring everything out. I was
yeah,
still learning really what it was I wanted to say.
yeah,
And
yeah,
isn't it amazing though that seed that was planted in your thinking in, what was it, 2017 or whatever, this stop for a moment idea has been in the ground and growing up for all of that time, and has now become a book.
yes, yes. I even just in the preface, I made a sentence about that. That I was quite. That's one of the things that amazed me was during the brainstorming sessions that just the ideas that were coming up that I'd done before. You would think, and it just fit with this. And you were great too when we went through the course of helping us start smaller and just keep it to minimal ideas. Because as we say, we've got so many ideas, it can get too
Yeah.
carried away and complicated. Um, and even Rebecca, my wife, is starting to write one now. And I said the same thing to her. I said, well, David says you don't want floating bricks, which those who did the course, but try and keep it to the one main point right now. And so it's all experimentation and learning and practice, but it's encouraging because, it makes it doable. My book is not actually huge. I had this idea for quite some time, the one I wrote, and I was planning to do it probably 1 or 2 years ago. It didn't happen. Life gets in the way and so forth. And then when your Anointed Authors course came up, I just felt pulled to it. An opportunity presented itself. And yes, I didn't completely finish everything in the 3 months, but I got the groundwork done in the 3 months, and it was amazing. And like I was starting to say before, the process of when just thinking it through, it was quite amazing, as many of you would know, or if you sit down with pen and paper even, God gives you ideas or brings things to mind. In the course we mentioned Reedsy, which is a great tool. Yes, came across them some years ago, and they have a short story writing competition, and it was a great way to just do small things, 1,500 words on average. Didn't win, but that's okay. It was just great to do something short like that that's able to be finished, as you would say.
Yeah.
So that was a great thing to do for a time, and I've got some of them sitting on the website there now, just so they're not being wasted. And used one of them in the back of the book as well, just as a finish.
Uh-huh.
So the concept there being similar to what you say and teach, and with the course itself, it was just great. It is helpful to have a limitation and an encouragement and a deadline, so to speak, even though it's flexible. So I found that really helpful to get to this line as well. Because as I was saying, if you got that before, I had the idea for this book for some time. Wasn't very clear on precisely what was going to be in it and exactly the content or anything. the title was definitely going to be Stop for a Moment. Didn't have the subtitle yet. And just it was going to be about encouraging people to seek God. And I'm hoping.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I really love the subtitle of the book, actually, Troy.
Well, that came out of the course.
A spark of curiosity can change everything forever.
Yeah, that's right.
It's just really like, oh, wow. And it's true, do you know what I mean? When we just follow that itch on the inside, you just never know where it's going to lead.
Yeah.
I mean, why not tell us a little bit about the book, Troy? What's the book about? What will people find in it if they pick it up and read it?
Yes. Well, when I started the process with the course, I knew the title and that I wanted to do it. And the idea behind it was to particularly people who just are on the edge or not sure about God, that they would just stop for a moment and have a think about it. And it's partial testimony. I didn't. Everyone's got a testimony, and there's always difficult things in life. I didn't want to make it too much about that. There is some in there, as you would no doubt know. As I started the process, which I didn't know, I shared a little bit of a testimony of one difficult period of time that Rebecca and I went through, without focusing too much on the detail, because that wasn't the main point. The main point is what God did and how he helped us through. So I just needed to touch on that to paint a picture. And the Lord gave me an idea when I was brainstorming and tied in with your suggestion. We're keeping it pretty short. It's 10 chapters. They're not that long. And at some point, the idea came, I think it was the Lord, to just introduce each chapter with a little bit of the testimony or a little bit of thinking behind what I was thinking during this period of time or what my experiences were with the Lord. And at first I thought, I'll see how this goes. It might only be its own chapter, because I didn't think I was going to be able to make that work over the entire 10. But there you go. Once you start doing it and just ask the Lord to help you. So, each chapter has a couple of paragraphs, just a little bit of testimony about what was going on in my life and what I was thinking at the time, at least lightly. And then the idea, hopefully, is that led into a point I wanted to make in that chapter. So, and those points were things that have been on my mind over years, as we all do when we're going through life and we think about God and what we're learning about him. You just get some truths and you get some ideas and what your journey was. Everybody has a different journey, but there's core truths, as we know. So we've got to get everybody to come across those with the Lord. So the short version was it was never going to be a long book, so that part came true. And it was just about sharing a little bit of testimony and encouraging people to stop for a moment and consider, why do you believe as you do? If you don't believe God, why not? Like, what's your reason? And more importantly, hopefully people are looking and just look, because we know a lot of it's unique, isn't it? And people who grow up outside of the Christian faith, it's a little strange to them. And the world's not greatly encouraging about it in our societies anyway, is it? So it's hard. Hoping the Lord will use this just to help those people who are looking, because it's not a theological book. It's just a taste of a bit of testimony and to let them know, hey, because everyone's journey, we've got to walk it, as Paul says, we've got to finish our own race. And so it's
I like, Troy, that you just ask some real questions.
That's it, yeah.
In there, it's like it's not a pulpit necessarily. It's actually a conversation. That's what I felt with your book.
Right.
It's a conversation. It's like really looking to connect with people, really, actually, and where they're at, rather than stand like on your soapbox and like wag your finger. It's not like that at all, is it? Do you mean like the Lord is extending an invitation to people, and I think your book does that really well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and
how did it feel? Carry on. Sorry.
No, I was going to say the other thing in there was I do enjoy movies. Not all of them, obviously, but there's been a few in there. I've mentioned a few older ones, and just a certain scene or a bit of dialogue from these movies that some of them are well known, and that just resonated with me over the years. And so I was able to incorporate that as well, because depending on the movie, people may or may not know it, but it just illustrates a point, because a lot of things that are in the media, not all of it, there can be some truth there. And it's just great to pull that out.
Yeah.
And people can say, hey, because anything that God is truth, isn't it? So anything that's true, it's going to lead them to God.
Yeah.
So, so that was another part of what I like. Yeah.
I know that John Eldridge in Wild at Heart and a number of his other books also like utilizes movies as a launching point or to bring across a particular point in what is talking about and what is teaching, so it's powerful, man. It's really powerful. How did it feel to complete the book, Troy?
Well,
having had this thing rolling around in your heart for so long, and then looking at it, I mean, like you mentioned earlier, sometimes we can begin a project, particularly something like writing a book, and it just looks like it can end up being a big bowl of spaghetti, because it's just like, oh, wow, I've got this idea and that idea, and I should do this and I could do that. And, which is why we very, very strongly encourage, hey, look, keep it short, keep it precise, one big thing, one big idea, and then, as many chapters as are necessary to kind of bring that idea to the table in the clearest possible way. So the journey sometimes from idea to actually holding it in your hand it can sometimes be an interesting one. How did it feel to actually, like, if you like, put the end on this thing and actually like see the book out in the world? And you got some beautiful pictures on your website that you've made, like 3D images of the book showing it, and it looks beautiful, mate. It really does. I mean, the packaging and the way you've created the book just looks fantastic.
We had some help.
It must have felt good, yeah. Yeah.
From somebody. No,
all right. Yeah. Well. Yeah. I'm not sure who that was.
Yeah. I think his name was David. No, but that was awesome. Yes. Look, sometimes it's hard to put it in words. Actually, to be truthful, I probably haven't even fully processed it. I've got the proof copy here, so I do have a.
Oh wow! Bring it up, man. Let's see it. I didn't realize you had the.
That's the proof.
Yeah. Look at that. Does that not look fantastic? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's helpful.
It's really good, man.
We've been blessed. We've got the pastor here encouraging me to. I've ordered some copies anyway, so for people at church and so forth who may be interested. So that's very encouraging. So yes, no, the short answer is it's amazing. I know your course was a huge help. As I didn't quite make it within the 3 months, but I know I got the draft done at least the first draft. And life gets in the way, but that was okay. And the course was brilliant at allowing for that. Learned a lot, because you're right. And everyone probably know this. As you do it and get the advice from yourself, you can see it's okay to do it different ways. Everyone has their own process, but that's definitely the way to do it. You actually just have to decide with the Lord, I'm going to just have a go. And then, like you say, you've got to let go of perfectionism. I actually believe there is a mistake in there. Nothing significant. I saw it and I thought, okay, but you know what? Let's just leave it. It doesn't wreck anything. It doesn't change the meaning of anything. I think it's just one piece of grammar. So it's good to get to that point where, in the scheme of things, what we're hoping the Lord might do with this book, that's not going to matter. And that's been a big thing for me, because, yes, I definitely think that was part of my difficulty is perfectionism. Who's going to read it? Is it good enough? Is it anything new? But none of that matters for the Lord, does it? Because he uses us and he uses our story and what he wants to do. And there's so
much. Yeah, there's so much in the power of momentum.
Yeah,
Troy.
That's it. That's true.
Like you say, once you got one chapter down, the next chapter became easier. And what I've noticed, I want to pick up on a couple of things here. The benefit of self-publishing, Troy, is you can correct that grammar mistake and re-upload the files, and it's fixed. Whereas, fortunately, there used to be a time where you would end up have to buy 600 copies of the book just to convince someone to publish it, So You know, so, but that's one of the things that I love about self-publishing is we can step out and do things without being terrified that we've got to get everything completely right.
Yeah. No, it's been amazing.
I mean, I've done some storming mistakes over the years. I've published a book with the wrong cover completely.
Yeah.
I've published a book with the wrong title on the cover. I mean, you name it, I've done it. You know, it's but we're creative people. You know, we're not here to impress anyone. We're not here to like create things and put them on a pedestal and like, oh, wow, look at how amazing this is or how amazing I am. We're here for the journey. We're here to try things out, to put as much of our heart on the table as we can so people can benefit from it.
That's it.
You know, and if we're always worried about like, well, I have to have everything like 99.99999% exact before I do something, man, if that were the case, I would still be twiddling my fingers here, you know, because there's never anything that I've ever put out there that hasn't had a mistake or in fact glaring holes in it.
Yeah.
But and again, that's how we learn.
Yes. So that's right. That was certainly a big thing for me. Yeah. And it was a great help with that. Not only yourself, obviously, but even the others in there, just all on the same journey. Very encouraging. No one's about beating each other up for any mistake or not meeting a deadline or anything like that. But just having that, hey, we're all walking this through, was amazing.
Yeah, having a community of people walking with you makes a huge difference, doesn't it?
Oh, it did. So it feels pretty good.
Yeah, good.
Encourages
congratulations.
Thank you. Encourages me to keep going. Haven't started the next one yet. That's okay. Other things have been going on, of course, but that's all right.
But you say Rebecca has started writing a book.
Yeah.
She's started writing a book. Your wife has started writing a book.
That's it. Yeah. So she's been inspired by it all too, and that's great because she's definitely got God's working through her as well. So the few experiences I've had.
I'm really loving actually seeing how this seems to have, although it was at work before, you know, and you kind of really indicated that this is a journey that you've been on.
Yeah. But
I feel as though just what I've seen with the blog that you've done, and we'll obviously put a link to that in the description for the video and all of that kind of stuff so people can check it out. And of course your book. But it seems to me that this like project and really giving yourself to make this happen has stirred something in you to like, yeah, man, I'm going to just keep going here. I'm going to bring what I've got on the inside to the outside.
That's it.
I'm loving seeing that, Troy. It's inspiring.
Thank you. No, but thank you. As I say, God's used you.
No, mate, no. Your deference to the course and to my encouragement, honestly, is you made it happen. You were there. You put your bum in the seat. You know, you chose to take action on your ideas. That's what really counts.
Yes.
You know, it's like really. Although I believe that the Anointed Authors is a great, what would I call it, catalyst for that creativity. Yeah. It really does take. I mean, I would like to just throw all of that credit back over on you, Troy, and of course Rebecca, because I know that no man ever does anything without his wife actually. Saying, come on, you know, we need encouragement, don't we? We've got very fragile egos.
I should have said that before. And I think Rebecca, yes. Very encouraging, very encouraging. Yeah, she's been always encouraging for me and very patient.
But seriously, Troy, like what the fact that you took action, and then persisted through the process to the point where you produced what you'd set out to do is actually a big deal, Troy. I mean, maybe you could speak to that a little. I know you've touched on it, because a lot of people, and I've got probably a number of kind of jettisoned projects on my hard drive. In fact, I know I have, but a lot of people, all of the steam and the excitement and the inspiration of beginning something can be, is like puts enough steam in the engine to get you so far. But there's also that point where it's like the resistance starts pushing back, and then it becomes to some degree a matter of decision and discipline as well, pushing through some of that. Did you experience that in your journey writing this book, where you, just speak to that a little if you can.
Yeah, definitely. That would be accurate. I think you talk about that in the course. We all get to a point where it's a little bit difficult to keep going, because we've all got other things going on as well. And that's true. I mean, we want to be careful not to make anything that we do more important than other things, and certainly the Lord and what we're doing, with Him and our relationship with Him. So there's always that. But having said that, it's just about that we just got to keep on going. And with me, it was a case of, as I mentioned at the beginning, because I sort of been, some years have passed, and that also helps in some ways, because you realise, hey, I've gone to do this before and didn't get going, or ran out of steam, or listened to the lies and the negativity and all those things that we tell ourselves or listen to that aren't true. And that was where the encouragement through others is always a big help, and knowing other people are on the same journey, and it can be done. And your story is a great example of that as well. And it is a case of it's faith, isn't it? It is letting it go. It doesn't have to be perfect, but with the Lord you can do it. And and even the process itself, which I think you even said in the course, is a great thing to do, regardless of the outcome of the product at the end. You learn to not only the technical side of it, or writing and the process of finishing, that's all true as well, but even just spending time writing with what the Lord's speaking from your heart. And that's what a lot of writers would say, or a lot of people write. It's actually really good for you to do it. So if you can let go of, I remember people say, trust God with the outcomes. And we just, as you say, we just got to show up in whatever way of capacity that is, and whatever we can do at the time. We got different seasons and different things that might get in the way. But like you say, 5-10 minutes a day, you can do something. So I've got to get better at that. I managed to get through this and get there, but I didn't always manage to do that during the time. But that was okay. We still got there. It's the end result at the end, whatever you can do. So yes, it's just the fact of finishing something. And I think if you take away the fact that it's just about the book side of it for the moment, it can be anything that we're putting our mind to, and doing it with the heart for the Lord. It's a very rewarding experience, regardless of the outcome at the end. But obviously the outcome of a book is you have a book, which is always helpful. And very satisfying. And it can, hopefully the prayer is it will help someone, people it will help. So I think, you get to a point where you realise, can I trust God? And let's do this, and let Him decide what it looks like in the end. But just do what He's asked you to do with the ability you have right now. Obviously, the more you do things, we get better at them, don't we? Typically. So there's all that as well, and that all stops us. Hey, I mean, doesn't the word say? I think you talk about it too. Don't despise small beginnings. I think we live in a world that doesn't like that. Well, it's easy not to accept that. You said before, we've got to write the magnum opus first. I had that thought too. We have loose ideas around, we could do this and we could do that, but I already know that's a huge amount of work, and that may or may not be what we do, but it is better off to start with the small steps and just finish the small things and build up to it. So it's been great, which is what you wrote
I talk about in a number of courses that I've done and coaching about. You can have like you have your mountaintop books that are that magnum opus you're talking about. They become like, for example, Atomic Habits by James Clear is like #1 bestseller, like for years after year after year. Do you know what I mean? It's like, that's a mountaintop book. It's defines its niche, if you like. They're actually very few and far between, in all honesty. And, you know, that's like destination book. You know, someone's reached a destination and they're distilling their wisdom from that high place. For me, I like Share the Journey books. Because I can be at the bottom of the mountain and still have something worth sharing for the person just a few steps behind me. And I know it's kind of, we say it, but that's really how I've approached my creative journey. Is I don't have to have arrived to have something worth sharing.
That's it.
Because if I've learned something and something has helped me, that immediately tells me, wow, someone else, that could help someone else. If I'll just take a moment to document what I've learned and what's helped me take a step forward, and turn around and say, put my hand out and say, hey, come along for the journey, come along for the ride. Someone else can take their next steps forward. And it also makes it a little less intimidating. I don't have to be the expert, capital E. I just have to be kind of, I'm just another dude on the road, you know, having a go, stepping out, you know, and sharing what I'm learning as I go. And I know there's something easy on the shoulders with that, you know, the burden of that is a lot lighter.
That's right. The point being, that's a great point too. It's another example of faith, just believing that, we don't have to be experts, but just trust you can help somebody. Because yes, I've been learning that too, just as you find out in your day-to-day life, when you can say something and they didn't know that. We can easily assume people know what we know or experience what we experienced, and they may not have, and it helps them. So that helps as well. Because when you can, all these ideas then help you push forward that this is worth doing. So that's all come to play. So for me, even though it's a short book, it's definitely been years of building it. I think I say that at the front. I know this is years worth of, it's not a long book, but there's years worth of ideas and revelation in it from what we've been talking about tonight, this morning for you. Sorry. On the journey. And God
I remember someone asking me one time, and I'm sure someone else said this, but I thought it was very cool and clever, so I thought I would steal it. They said, "Oh, how long did it take you to write that book?" And I said, "Well, it took me about like 53 years and counting."
That's it.
You know, like, because if a book can take us a week to write, it can take us a year to write, it can take us 2, 3, 4 months to write, like your one. But ultimately, the actual preparation of that book and the experience that undergirds what's on the page is our lifestyle and who we are and what we've learned. And that's what makes what you've written so powerful, Troy. I really do believe that there is a strong creative call on yours and Rebecca's life.
Well, thank you.
I do. I see it, you know, and I can see it stirring and I can see it forming. And what you're doing here with the book and, you know, with your blog and writing on Substack and different ways in which you're engaged in this process of connecting your faith and your creativity in ways that tangible out there for other people to read and benefit from. I mean, obviously I can't say where it will lead, but I know for sure that if you don't pursue it, it will leave the world a far poorer place. And it is something that's so much a part of who you are. It's not just what you're doing. It's who you are as people.
Yeah.
And that's just something really special, because you just, as I say, you don't, I loved what you said earlier. You, in a sense, you've got to disconnect from outcomes.
Yeah.
And like, cause if we're always thinking, well, if this happens, then I will, or if this doesn't happen, then I will, or whatever that, caveat may be, whatever that condition may be that you put on your creativity is like a handcuff.
Yes.
Because we don't have the ability to determine the outcome.
That's
but
it.
For sure, if we don't take action, possibilities. I mean, I actually wrote about this today in my email. It's not until we actually do something that the possibility of something happening opens up.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
You know, and we've just got to keep pushing those doors. We just keep, and our part in it, I believe, is is to be the sower.
Yeah.
We've got to keep sowing. We keep watering. And as the scriptures say, you know, it gives God at least the opportunity to bring increase.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that increase, and you touched on this as well, and maybe you could speak to it a little, is not just for people outside of ourselves, but this creative journey and exploring our creative capacity, in your case, writing a book as you have, actually does so much in us.
Yes.
It helps us to discover what's the gold that's kind of buried in us. I mean, I'm sure you found, Troy, as you were writing and as you were reading through your book, I don't know if this is the case, but I find this sometimes. I'll sometimes sit back and I'll be like, wow, did I really know that? You know, I read some of my books and I thought, oh, wow, I should do that.
Well, that was obviously the point, yes. But even so, that's right. And especially things you might have recorded some time ago, which there's a couple of in here. I go, oh, wow. Obviously, the Lord helps you do it. I'm going, that's pretty cool. That idea or the way you worded that. Not everybody might agree, but that's all right. It just helps us, though, anyway. So I find that's great. It just helps you with your own thinking, and it helps you be able to articulate what you want to do next time, and just when you're talking to people. So it'd be fascinating to see where this goes. I mean, as some people, I mean, the people who read this and I've engaged, people who know me, who might be able to speak with, just to see what jumps out for them, and I'll probably be surprised, because that's a case of letting it go and let God speak through it to them. Because I put in the best what I thought was right and what I think makes sense. When you do your first draft and you look at it and I go, oh, it doesn't make any sense at all, that sentence or the way I've worded it, and you fix those things up. So I know that'll be true too. It'll be fascinating to see which chapter was their favourite or what spoke to them most, because everyone is so different and different things going on in their lives. And so I think I've seen some of that happen even outside of this book here, just with life generally. And I think as I was doing the process, God helps remind you of these things, that, hey, you don't know what that chapter is going to do for someone. So it might not seem like much to me or anything big or anything they don't already know. But like you say, everyone's at a different level and they might be just a little bit behind you and they didn't realise that. I hadn't thought about that. So I think all of these things come to play while you're doing it, and it actually helps you finish. If you can just keep, and it all comes down to just trusting the Lord's with you, and what he wants to do with this. Like I say, regardless of what it looks like at the end, as in results-wise in the natural, but I'm sure spiritually and for ourselves, it's a great thing. Like I said, in some ways, I'm still processing that it's actually here.
Yeah,
it's really good. Yeah.
In many ways, Troy, I think and see the book as, it's like, oh wow, I've completed my book, the end. But I actually see the book as a beginning of something far more. I see the book as the beginning of. I mean, I'm just saying this, okay? So I'm not necessarily saying go do it, but I could very easily see it becoming a short mini course where you talk about some of the questions and things in the chapters and things like that, and who knows what it will develop into. And I think that this creative journey that you're on and others are maybe on is, that the steps of righteous men and women are ordered.
Yeah.
There's an order to them.
Yeah.
We don't get to step 6 until we've taken steps 1 through 5.
I found that.
And those, and those steps of obedience are leading to all sorts of other opportunities, all sorts of other ways and expressions as to how we can reach and bless and build and help other people. So I very much see, and this book in particular, Troy, it's true of many books, but this book in particular, I see it's like, as soon as you wrote the end, it was like, I can almost see God turning the page and saying, okay, new chapter, the beginning, it's like the end of this book is just the beginning of so much more that will spring up from it, man. I do. I believe it. So,
when I got to the end, I had to, same as what we were saying before, I had to be careful because I was tempted to go, oh, you know what? I should add this, or I should add that, or I didn't actually address that enough. But yeah, you're right. It really takes a step of faith to go, no, and to be able to let go. I've heard some other authors say things like that before. It's never really finished, but there's a point where you let it go. So I think God helped with that a lot because, it's certainly understandable people who struggle to do that and think they've got to go over every word again and change it, and that's not worded the best way.
Again. And again.
I did it a number of times.
And again, it's around the mountain.
If we trust the Lord too, because which I'm trying to, of course. Whatever He wants to do with this, He will complete the work. Whatever He wants done with that, So that's where you're right. It's like, faith has gone out. Let's let God do with it what He wants to now, and where it will be next.
Praise God, man. Now, couple of things before we wrap up here, Troy. Number one, if people want to connect with you and Rebecca, what's the best place to do that?
No doubt, if you go to our website, it'll be Substack, but you can get to it from our website. And Rebecca has a newsletter, and so do I. Mine's only just about to start, so we have the blog is there though. So our website.
And what's the address for that?
Stop for a moment, all one word. Stopforamoment.org. O-R-G.
Okay, great. I really encourage anyone who's watching, anyone who's listening, connect with this couple. They're great people, very, very genuine, very authentic, faithful creatives. Just really stepping out. And last of all, Troy, unless there's something specific in your heart that you feel as though you want to share or prophesy to the nations, what would you say? You've covered a lot in what you've shared here. I think you've spoken to a lot of things that other people will be experiencing. But if you were to summarize, someone in a similar position to yourself, they've got an idea, maybe even an idea that's been rolling around for like almost a decade. They're wanting to write a book or step out and start a blog, something like that. But, it's taking that step. What would you say to them, Troy?
I know how you feel. Yet it is fair to say, and I think you've written about it many times, there is a courage required. Yeah, it is a step out. It really is. It's easy not to think that way, because when we think about God's word in the Bible and the things that many of God's people faced in the Bible and even in the world today, it is easy to put the creative side as not important. I was doing that for a long time. Everything has a place. Ecclesiastes says that, doesn't it? There's a time and a place for everything. So God is God of everything. So that's been a revelation for me too. You just work with what season you're in and where you're at right now. It's also you might, if you need to ask God to help you to let go of comparing. We all do it, and regret. It's all the enemy stuff. That could have done this 5 years ago, could have done it 10 years ago. I actually believe sometimes everyone's circumstances will be different, but sometimes delays are God's timing. So we found that too. We've had things where we thought, we missed that. And then, no, but it wasn't time. So one of the fruits of the Spirit, patience. And that you require patience to finish writing a book, don't you? You've got to do the work and turn up and do it, but it takes time from, as you say, from the idea to completion. So I would say you need to accept it's going to take time. It's not about rushing the process necessarily. It's a process to go through whatever speed you need to or whatever time you need to give it. You can do it. If I can, yes, anyone can. You can do it, because the Lord gives us all of our abilities. You just got to try to, as hard as it is, accept we're all different. Your ideas will be different. The way you want to work is different. What you aspire to have, what your purpose is, there's no doubt going to be from God, but it will be different to someone else's. But that's okay. One Lord, one Spirit, different gifts, different journeys. Clearly, God does that so as we can all reach different people in our circles or outside of our circles. And I just know if we can make peace with all that, it really does help us to take those steps. That it's not about what this person over here was able to do, or that their book is bigger than mine. I couldn't help it. I know a lot of other people from my group much bigger than mine, but I know, hang on a minute, it's not about that. That's excellent. This is the one God had me write. So there's quite a few things. It's about your mind, isn't it? Renewing your mind and say, okay, Lord, what do you want to do with me in this situation? And then help me to not compare and just do what you're calling me to do. Small beginnings. Let's do it regularly. And as you may have experienced, or people have experienced in any success they've had in doing anything, when we show up, he does too. You cannot know what you're going to do tomorrow. Everyone's got different processes there. I know there's planning and deep planning and light planning. So there are certainly things in there, and the way the chapters went that I had no idea about at the beginning. God did, so he's not surprised. But and I know that's true too. So, and a lot of the help with that came from just starting from a simple idea and letting God work with that. So if I can encourage, I would just say you can do it. I know how it feels. I know about perfectionism. I know about procrastination. I know about doubt. You can do it. You can do it if you can just ask the Lord to help you let those things go, and just know that it'll take as long, whatever time you can give it, which is what you say all the time, you will get there at the end. And then you've got to let it. Yes, you've got to. It's wisdom to do the editing and make it as best you can. It's not that we don't care. Spirit of excellence, isn't it? You're looking to do the best you can, but not perfection, because it never is. The only one who did that was Jesus, wasn't it?
And he did a pretty good job too.
He did a good job. So if we can accept that actually helps a great deal. And we can know it in here and still struggle with it. So I know you need God to help you if you're really struggling with it, but if as an encouragement from someone else who was there, and obviously if you can engage with anyone else, like in this group here, with even your newsletter, like they say, it doesn't have to be a particular course or anything. It's a great course. It just helps to know you're not alone and that God can use anything. And even if it helps one person, it's worth it.
Yeah, amazing, Troy. Thank you so much. For anyone who's interested, I run Anointed Authors like on occasion. I mean, it's not something that I do all the time, but if you want to sign up for the waiting list, you can go to christiancreative.academy/anointed authors, all one word, and you'll be able to sign up there, or it may even be open and ready, rolling again by the time you watch this. But, and then Troy mentioned my newsletter. That's where I practice my writing. You know, I set myself to do a daily newsletter because it helps me practice writing, you know. But you can sign up for that at faithfulcreatives.com. So aside from that, but Troy, I'm going to make sure that we get the links to your website, your Substack, of course, your book. Really, really do appreciate you taking the time just to share some of your journey with us here today. And to encourage, I mean, this is why I do these interviews is number one, because I believe in what you've done and I want other people to be made aware of what you've accomplished and the book that you put out in the world and the other ways in which you're showing up. But of course, also to encourage other people and say, hey, come on, like you said, Troy, you can do it. You can do this. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're at in this journey. If God has put that seed in your heart, there is also the grace to take it forward and make it happen. So a huge thank you, Troy. You're a real blessing on so many levels, a real encouragement, both to myself and Lana, my wife, and to, I'm sure many, many other people. And I'm praying that this time together with you is going to encourage a lot of other people to step out as well. So, yeah, thanks, brother.
Thank you very much, David. I appreciate it. You've been great encouragement to us.
Yeah. Well, let's just close in prayer, Troy. You just close in prayer for us, and we'll go about our day or night or wherever else we are in the world.
Everywhere. Oh, Heavenly Father, we come to you in Jesus' mighty name. Lord, I do want to thank you for what you're doing through David and his ministry, and he's helping so many creative people. And I just pray your will to come to pass in every way. Thank you for wisdom and favor as he makes decisions and he just reaches more of your children with the purposes of growing your kingdom. Thank you for what you're doing through each one of us, Lord. Thank you for the book you helped me write. And I just pray it goes out there. We're casting our seed upon many waters. We know not which ones will prosper, but you do. And help us, Lord, just everyone who's watching this or would hear this, that they would be encouraged and just have a spark of curiosity for what you want to do with them. Can know with things are possible. And just bless everyone in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.